Thank you, Faye. Good evening, everybody. The last time Fulham did manage a league win here at Stamford Bridge, Margaret Thatcher had been elected as the UK's first female Prime Minister. Nottingham Forest were champions of Europe, and Scott Parker wasn't even born. If Parker's men can end that 42-year hoodoo this evening, it will have big implications at both ends of the table. Chelsea can move 6 points clear of 5th place West Ham with victory as the race for the top four reaches its climax. For Fulham, time is running out if they are to stage a miracle relegation escape. That is why this is a West London derby with far more than just local bragging rights at stake. In fact, it is sandwiched in between the two legs of a Champions League semi-final for Chelsea against Real Madrid. Was always going to have a bearing on Thomas Tuchel's team selection. It's 5 changes from the side that drew 1-1 in Madrid in a game they maybe could and should have won on Tuesday. That includes a first Premier League start of the season for Billy Gilmour. Zuma, James, Ziyech and Havertz also come in. Their lineup is Mendy in goal, Christensen, Thiago Silva and Zuma in defence, James, Gilmour, Mount and Chilwell across midfield, with Ziyech, Havertz and Werner in attack. Fulham's lineup much more straightforward. The Cottagers unchanged from the side that drew 1-1 against Arsenal last time out. So Areola is the goalkeeper, Aina, Anderson, Tosin and Robinson in defence. Decordova-Reid, Anguissa, Lamina and Lookman will make up midfield, with Josh Maja and Ivan Cavallero up front. No Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the Fulham lineup. He is ineligible to play against his former club, but Parker does have the services of Alex Tete back on the bench after having to self-isolate following a positive COVID-19 test. The two sets of players have emerged from the tunnel way down below us. We're in the television gantry here, right at the back of the main stand at Stamford Bridge. The sun just beginning to shine. It's been mixed fortunes in terms of the weather, but the pitch looks absolutely resplendent, David Conley, for a huge game for both these teams.
Yeah, and as we were just discussing with Fader, I mean, going back to last week, look at the side that Scotty Parker picked against Arsenal. There's only one player that started the first game of the season against Arsenal who played in that game. That's Cavallero. So that's how much this side has changed for Scott. And as I said, it might have come a little bit too late, but I think he's got the team. They're playing well. They're playing for him, that's for sure. Put on a really good performance against Arsenal last week and against Fulham. Maybe didn't quite get against Wolves. Maybe didn't quite get what they deserved on those games. But obviously they've got to put the bright result to the back of their minds now. Just get on with their own game here.
And in terms of Fulham's dismal record at Stamford Bridge, and indeed in Premier League London derbies in general, does that come into their thinking at all as a player? Are you aware of those kind of stats?
I mean, look, ironically, they've got a team full of loanees here, and a lot of these players, are playing for their futures, and I really don't think that has too much to do with it. They just got to, as I said, just focus on the now, the here and the now, and Scott will make sure, he'll ensure they do that.
Well, both sets of players taking a knee before kick-off as that important message against racial prejudice and discrimination continues to be sent out in the Premier League. Even more relevant, of course, given this weekend's social media blackout. We are off and underway here on TalkSport. Chelsea in their blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks, shooting from right to left, attacking the shed end in the first half. Fulham in their predominantly all-white strip with the black socks, attacking the goal away to our right. That's the Matthew Harding stand. There's a big banner, actually, a picture of Matt Harding, Chelsea's former owner, 25 years, never forgotten, in bright white letters. Fulham have a throw over on the far side with the American fullback Anthony Robinson, and he hurls it towards the penalty area away to our right. This pitch was being heavily watered before kick-off, should make for a greasy surface. And it's launched long by Edouard Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper, and out of touch for a throw on this near side. Scott Parker in the grey trousers, black jacket, brown shoes, already out issuing instructions. As a player, he turned out for both these teams in a West London derby. 1 goal in 28 games for Chelsea. He was actually one of Jose Mourinho's first signings at Stamford Bridge, and still well regarded amongst the Chelsea supporters. Sure, they would love to be here today, Stamford Bridge, as it has been for much of the season. Very sparsely populated, as Chelsea have possession inside their own half of the field. This much changed Chelsea team looking to cement their grip on the top four. on the day that Manchester City took a giant step towards the title. They beat Crystal Palace live on TalkSport 2 this lunchtime. And all eyes on that game between Manchester United and Liverpool tomorrow, when Liverpool can hand City the title. Fulham have a throw. They've seen plenty of the ball in the Chelsea half in these first couple of minutes, David Connolly.
Yeah, and Thomas Tuchel just pointing down to his team as if to say, play a little bit longer, out of the press.
Here they come with Lookman, always dangerous with his pace, but took on one Chelsea player too many. It's cleared up towards the halfway line, headed back down by Joachim Andersen.
I tell you what, he had to make that header, Andersen, because there was basically a whole half of the pitch for Timo Werner to run into, and it's a dangerous game, isn't it, leaving 1v1 against the pace of Timo Werner. We were speculating before the game, David, as to exactly how Chelsea would line up. At the moment, looks like it is Timo Werner in that central striker position. Yeah, with Havertz. Looks like they're a pair up there. Here's Mendy, all in green, the Chelsea goalkeeper, just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Closed down quickly by Ongreisa, and clearance only as far as Olarena. Sliding in to win it back was Billy Gilmore, but they can't keep the ball at the moment, Chelsea. Good start this from Fulham. It was Josh Madger getting to the byline, trying to pull back the cross, blocked by Chilwell, and Fulham have a corner. 3 minutes gone, Chelsea 0, Fulham 0. Yeah, and as I said, I think it's the Brighton performance here that is the template, for Fulham. It was a sort of much changed team for Chelsea, and Zuma came in for that game, Kepa came in goal, but certainly here you can see them a little bit slow handling the ball, and Fulham going to press them high, a bit like Brighton did. And it's worked well so far. They've won the ball back quite a few times and been a threat in the box. Well, they'd have expected changes, Fulham, but when they saw the players that Thomas Tuchel opted to rest for this Champions League game in midweek, it, I'm sure, would have given them an extra boost in the dressing room. The corner will be taken by Ademola Lookman from this right-hand side, puts his right arm high in the sky. And there are plenty of white shirts in and around Mendy inside the 6-yard box. It was a Chelsea head that met it, though, and cleared as far as Cavallero over on the far left-hand side. Reece James back in the team this afternoon. Does well there just to usher the ball behind, and it will be a goal kick for Chelsea. 0-0 with 4 minutes played. Chelsea unbeaten in their last 19 meetings against their near neighbours from across West London. And they've won the last 6, including a 1-0 victory at Craven Cottage earlier in the season, but again Fulham have won it high up the field. Robinson on the edge of the penalty area goes for goal, and it's just over the crossbar, and I think it was tipped over the crossbar by Mendy. Terrific save from the Chelsea goalkeeper. Yeah, one-handed save here from Mendy, from the strike from Havertz, who came short. Bit of a heavy touch, but I tell you what, Anthony Robinson, really good pressing again. Won the ball back, good strike, but the goalkeeper had it covered. Well, he might just have a point to prove tonight, Anthony Robinson. He was sent off late in the first half of that 1-0 defeat in the reverse fixture. Very close there to coming up with an early goal. Second Fulham corner in quick succession. Again played in by Lookman. Nodded away this time by Kurt Zouma. But again Chelsea are struggling to get out at the moment, and he's knocked back into the penalty area. Decordova-Reid tries to bring it down, and it's swept clear this time by Zouma. But collected again by Fulham, and this time it's a long-range shot high over the bar from Joachim Andersen. The defenders are shooting on sight here for Fulham in the early exchanges. Yeah, it's a superb start. This is exactly what I think Scotty Parker would have wanted. High tempo, high energy on the front foot, and obviously he's hoping that it's a bit of a disjointed performance from Chelsea, and so far they haven't been managed sort of to retain the ball too well. Chelsea turned it off over far too often. It's going to take a Herculean effort for Fulham to save themselves in the Premier League, but they do have a bit of previous when it comes to late relegation great escapes. Back in 2008 under Roy Hodgson, they were 6 points adrift with 5 games to play. They won 4 of those 5 matches and stayed up. TalkSport's Danny Murphy, one of the heroes that season. Who will be the hero in white this evening? 0-0 between Chelsea and Fulham. We played 6 minutes according to the big TV screen. Sat perched on top of that shed end away to my left. I have to say that decoration around Stamford Bridge is really eye-catching. Big blue canvases over on the far side. There is a banner that reads Pride of London, and displaying all of the major silverware that Chelsea have picked up over the years. The League Cup, the Premier League trophy, the FA Cup, the Champions League, the UEFA Cup, and the old First Division title, all standing out against that backdrop as Havertz tries to come forward away to our left. Chilwell into the path of Ziyech on the edge of the penalty area, and a dangerous ball fizzed in by Mason Mount. Any kind of touch from Timo Werner, and I think Areola would have had a problem in the end.
it cascades out over on the far side for a throw-in for Fulham. First real moment of menace from Chelsea.
Yeah, and that's because they didn't try and play their way out, play the short pass. They went in behind longer up to Timo Werner. A little flick on the inside to Havertz. He spread it out wide. Eventually comes at the feet of Mason Mount in the box. Lovely little turn. And he spots Timo Werner completely unmarked, about 6-7 yards out, but he fizzed it too hard, slightly in front of him. But I think that's the way for Chelsea, just to weather this storm at times, just to bypass that press, go in behind it a little bit more often.
Nervous clearance by Tosin out on the left-hand side for Fulham, so Chelsea have a throw. Maybe just signs in the last 90 seconds or so that the home team are starting to get a foothold in this game. Fulham having begun very vibrantly, certainly not playing like a side who are fearing for their Premier League future. Here is Kurt Zouma inside the centre circle, comes over the halfway line, looks to pick out Chilwell, and Caballero there just dilly-dallying on the edge of the penalty area. In the end he clears it against Chilwell and out for a Fulham throw down by the corner flag.
Yeah, they've just been a little bit slow to come out on this left-hand side because Zouma, look, he's not a natural left-footer, so every time it comes to him as that left-sided centre-half of the three, he tries to get it back on his right foot, so Chilwell at times sort of been starved of possession.
Olarena, former Chelsea youngster, will take this throw in. He was telling TalkSport earlier this week what it would mean to pick up a victory against his old club. Played 6 appearances under Antonio Conte. The Fulham right back. Chilwell picks it up down the near side for Chelsea. Still goalless with 9 minutes played. Here on Game Day on TalkSport, Alex Crook and David Connolly, your commentary team, on what's already been a very dramatic afternoon, particularly in the EFL. Norwich wrapping up their second championship title in 3 seasons. They beat Reading by 4-1. There was drama at the bottom as Wickham beat Bournemouth 1-0. Rotherham drawing against Blackburn. Swansea beating Derby. And there's a huge game on TalkSport 2 on Tuesday night. Luton against Rotherham. The battle for survival very much alive in the second tier. Fulham just about still alive when it comes to staying in the Premier League, and they've started this game well. Lamina looking to thread it forward there for Caballero, just slightly overhit. Caballero just making that point to the Gabonese international. Is behind for a goal kick for Chelsea. Goal kick taken short by Mendy. 15 clean sheets for him this season. Only Manchester City's Ederson has more, and that's a lovely ball to Mount. Plays it forward to Havertz, lifts it over the goalkeeper and lifts it into the corner. Kai Havertz gives Chelsea the lead in this West London derby, and that could be a huge goal in terms of the Blues' top 4 aspirations and a huge blow to Fulham's hopes of staying in the Premier League. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0.
Oh, superbly taken, but we go back, this starts with the goalkeeper playing it short to Silva, and what a pass this is. This is a 60-70 yard ball over the top. I spoke about bypassing that early pressure from Fulham. They didn't do it at the start, but they've certainly done it here. Spots the run of Mason Mount going in behind. He takes this out the sky absolutely beautifully. Terrific first touch, and then slips it in between the fullback. Havertz is onto it, takes one touch to set himself on. Look, the goalkeeper gets a little nick on it, but he just finishes it low into the corner. But it's made and it's spotted by Silva. What a superb pass over the top of Mason Mount.
And that's an illustration that sometimes Route 1 football can be just as beautiful as playing 40 passes in the build-up to a goal. The touch to pluck the ball from the sky from Mason Mount was absolutely sumptuous. The weight on the pass and the finish from Havertz, the awareness that Areola was going to come at his feet to lift it over the goalkeeper and into that far corner. It's a wonderful goal for Chelsea. It's a sucker punch for Fulham, particularly given how well they'd imposed themselves on the game in the opening exchanges. But it's the story of their season, really, Fulham. They've been in so many matches, not been able to turn that into something tangible in terms of goals, and they've conceded at the other end. That's exactly what's happened here. Chelsea leading by 1-0. It's only the 3rd goal that Kai Havertz has scored in 34 appearances. But I think he's a player, David Connolly, like Werner, when they fully acclimatised to life in the Premier League. I think his best is still to come. Fulham have it meanwhile with Deco-Dovere. Couple of step overs and then he's brought down by Thiago Silva. Wants a free kick. Referee Kevin Friend says play on, and Chelsea do that down their left hand side with Chilwell. Mount trying to guide it through to Werner. There was a slip from Anderson. Here's Havertz now, who looks really in the mood. Havertz on the edge of the penalty area, links up with Ziyech. Werner tries to volley it from 6 yards, kicks thin air, and Areola gratefully plucks the ball from the sky, and Fulham survive.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's another sort of attack in the Fulham box, but it starts in Chelsea's own half with Mason Mount. I mean, he just lets the ball run across his body beautifully. I mean, he's at the heart of everything so far, Mount.
And now Werner into the penalty area. That was good defending by Robinson, coming across from left back and just tapping the ball back to Areola. This is a dangerous period for Fulham. Chelsea swarming all over their West London neighbours. Ziyech over on the right hand side. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. You're listening to Game Day on TalkSport. The early goal from Kai Havertz, at the moment cementing Chelsea's place in the top 4. That was the target when Thomas Tuchel was brought in to replace Frank Lampard. He could yet deliver the Champions League.
Well, if there's one player, I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it, if you're Scott Parker, you know, which player do you leave unmarked? But out of all of them, Mason Mount, to take the ball out of the sky like that, unmarked, unchallenged, I guess you've got to question Joachim Andersen. The ball can travel that far and he doesn't deal with it in the air, that Mason Mount can pluck it out the sky like that, but still, the touch and the through ball, way to pass, absolutely brilliant. And just looking at him here, he's so intelligent, his awareness, letting the ball run across his body, darting in behind.
Thiago Silva has almost picked out Chilwell, and you're right there, David, to pick out the movement of Mason Mount, because Fulham eyes were drawn to that, and that allowed Chilwell just to sneak in and almost get a clean run on goal. Been a good couple of minutes for Chelsea. Here's Olorena though, down the right hand side, glides away from the goal scorer Havertz, tries to release Cavallero. It was a firm but fair challenge from Kurt Zouma, and Fulham have a throw in midway inside Chelsea territory. Fulham have won only one of their last 25 top flight trips to Stamford Bridge. That was a 2-1 victory back in 1964. Even David Connolly wasn't born then. Here's Anderson on the halfway line.
Although I look like I was.
It's been a tough lockdown.
Yes.
Judging by the grey on your beard. 15 minutes played. It's been a tough opening to the game for Fulham, conceding that early goal when actually they were probably on top. They just lack an outlet, don't they, up front? They lack a focal point. Mitrovic, for me, hasn't played anywhere near enough minutes.
It's really, I'm just looking at Anguissa and Olorena in terms of who picks up Mason Mount. You know, even Cavallero, they're just not sure.
Havertz has found Werner. Werner tries to give it back to Kai Havertz. It was nipped off his toe by Anderson and swept clear by the French goalkeeper, Alphonse Areola. Might come for Deco-Dovere in the centre circle. Thiago Silva, the man they call the monster, made sure that didn't happen. And Chelsea have it back now with Reece James in acres of space down the right-hand side.
And I think Silva's one of those players, right, that you'd probably say, well, it could have been due a rest, you know, in terms of with the Champions League, but I guess you're Rudiger out, and you can see what he brings to the team. I mean, Mendy doesn't want to kick long, so every goal kick, he just passes it short to Silva. Go on then, you go and help us build. And his passing is absolutely outstanding.
36 years young, Thiago Silva. I mean, playing in the semi-final of the Champions League against Real Madrid in midweek, he became the oldest semi-finalist since Ryan Giggs back in the early 2000s, the Chelsea central defender. It's effortless from Thiago Silva, and he's on the ball now, 7 yards inside his own half. 16 minutes played, Chelsea leading by a goal to nil here on TalkSport. It's a good day for Adrian Durham's Peterborough in League One this afternoon. They sealed their promotion to the Championship with a last-minute penalty, a stoppage time penalty, to draw against Lincoln. Hull City sealing the title. They beat Wigan by 3-1. Rochdale relegated to League Two after losing 2-1 to Doncaster. And in League Two, Southend also went down despite winning. Southend will be playing in the National League next season. Here's Billy Gilmore for Chelsea, tries to play it out to the right-hand side, and James, it was charged down by Bobby Deco-Dovere. Chelsea dominating possession now. And Here's Zuma stretching those long legs and coming forward towards the penalty area. Mount looking for Havertz. Did he time his run? He's put the ball in the back of the net, but the flag does go up. Mason Mount again. A nonchalant pass with the outside of the foot to release Havertz. I think he was just a yard or so in behind the last Fulham defender. VAR and Darren England will be checking that, hence the delay.
Well, good habits though. He still put it in the back of the net, but the pick out from Mason Mount was absolutely superb again. I mean, he's in perpetual motion. He's just moving all over the pitch. He started out on this left-hand side, but he moves over to the right, then he drifts again. I mean, Anguissa, Oleina, Caballero, they're not too sure, who's going to pick him up. He makes great runs in behind, darts long, comes short. He's always on the move, really difficult to pick up, and what a player.
He's also playing his 49th game of the season, Mason Mount. Got the winner against Fulham back in January. There were some Chelsea fans up until recently who weren't completely convinced by him. I found that baffling. I do wonder, David, maybe if he gets more scrutiny because he's come through the academy system, because he's not a big money signing. I think Scott McTominay at Manchester United maybe suffers with the same thing as the rain falls down here at Stamford Bridge. Yeah, possibly, but I think certainly any doubts about him as a player will certainly be extinguished this season, that's for sure. I mean, he's been absolutely incredible for Frank Lampard, obviously, and Tuchel. Well, and Gareth Southgate as well. He has to be one of the first names on the England team sheet this summer, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's a tough job, isn't it, to pick your starting team, but certainly for Chelsea he's been magnificent. And I think he's put him in a really good position, a bit like Frank did. Look, in the 4-3-3, he's one of those attacking midfielders, but I think he's even more effective in this system. He's got a bit more freedom, I think.
Well, the score is Chelsea 1, Fulham 0 on TalkSport. With Now, don't forget, with Now you can watch Chelsea against Fulham live right now on Sky Sports for just £9.99. Search Now Sports. Long ball upfield from Areola, plucked from the sky by the diminutive Gilmour, but won back well by Anguissa, who's gobbled up the ground and made his way into the Chelsea half. He had no white shirts anywhere near him. He's done well actually to win a throw on this near touchline.
And that is exactly what he does well, Anguissa, in terms of carrying the ball. I don't think there's too many better actually in the league at carrying the ball forward like that. Held off a couple of players, brought Fulham up the pitch.
Oleina to take that throw. Almost right in the centre of the Chelsea half. Scott Parker and Stuart Gray, part of the backroom team at Fulham, both perched on the edge of the technical areas. Lamina drives forward into the area. Zuma there though, ahead of the Southampton loanee, and clears it out for another throw. And again, there was a purposeful drive towards the area by Lamina, but there just weren't enough Fulham players in and around him. It's been the story of the game so far for the men from Craven Cottage, as Aina curls one left-footed towards the top corner, but finds rows 6 or 7 in the lower tier of that Matthew Harding stand away to our right.
Well, you mentioned about players obviously in the box, and that is an issue that they've really struggled with, isn't it, in terms of goals scored. I think only Sheffield have got less. But you know what, even if you go back to their season in the Championship, I think Brentford got something like 16 more than them, even West Brom 13 more than them, so that was an issue that they maybe weren't getting the goals even in the Championship, and maybe they just didn't address that enough in the summer.
Chelsea going long again, over the head of their goal scorer Kai Havertz, nodded down by Joachim Andersen. And it's back now with Mendy, all in green inside the Chelsea penalty area. He made one excellent save, tipping over the shot from the edge of the area from Robinson just before Chelsea scored. Edouard Mendy. He's played the ball out to the left-hand side, but over the head of Chilwell, bounces kindly for Chelsea off Caballero and out for a throw. You're listening to Game Day on TalkSport. Up after us, Faker Rubbers will bring you Everton against Aston Villa, a third Premier League commentary on this busy day. And then at 10 o'clock, Adam Cattrall will bring you all the latest news from the world of boxing on Fight Night. Here's Decordova-Reid inside the penalty area for Fulham. Let's fly right-footed, blocked behind by Thiago Silva. Fulham have a third corner and a chance once again for the likes of Tosin and Joachim Andersen to come forward from the back. Yeah, a bit like the first few minutes where they were winning the ball high. They've won it back here off Billy Gilmour. It took a little bit too long on the ball. I think it was Anguissa who robbed him off it, and eventually Decordova-Reid with the strike, blocked by Silva. And that's where
I know they got the goal and they've had an awful lot of the ball of late, but they were just probably a little bit too slow there handling the ball at the back, a bit too confident and casual, Chelsea.
Adamala Lookman once again will take the corner. They've all been from this near right hand side so far, so it's going to be an outswinger and nodded clear by Havertz just on the corner of the 6-yard box. James completes that clearance and it's volleyed back towards the area by Robinson. Lookman with a shot, good save again, Mendy, because that ball was dipping and swerving and Mendy flings himself down low to the right hand side and in the end it's smuggled behind for a corner.
Yeah, it's a great save, this is. Lovely low strike from Lookman. This looked destined for that bottom corner from the right hand side of the box, just inside it. Really good save, had to get down low, palmed it around the post. Well done from Mendy.
And Lookman races across now to that left hand side to take the latest of 4 Fulham corners inside the opening quarter of this game. They are seeing plenty of the ball in and around the penalty area. In towards Tosin, nods it down. Anderson back across the 6-yard box with a header. Might come for Caballero, rather pulled out of the shot, and it's cleared away down this left-hand side by Zuma. And Werner does really well to keep the ball in play, and he's inside Fulham territory now. Wants a free kick, claims he was dragged down by Ola Reina right in front of Thomas Tuchel, who protests. Again, Kevin Friend allows the game to continue, and then Josh Maja is dispossessed by Ziyech in the centre of the Chelsea half, away to our right. 24 minutes played, Chelsea 1, Fulham 0, here on Talk Sport. Earlier today, Manchester City winning away at Crystal Palace. They will be crowned champions tomorrow if Liverpool beat Manchester United, and we'll have all the fallout to that game on Darren Bent's boot room. Myself, Darren Bent, and Darren Ambrose on air immediately after full time. Carlton Cole will be amongst our guests, and he was telling us earlier this week that Tammy Abraham, who isn't in the starting lineup for Chelsea this afternoon, should be looking to leave Stamford Bridge this summer. You can hear more from Carlton during the boot room tomorrow night on Talk Sport. Anderson drills the ball out to the left-hand side. Robinson away from Ziyech. Still looking confident in possession. Yeah, when they do have it.
Yeah, they've come back into it, haven't they? Because obviously Chelsea, when they scored the goal, had that spell dominating possession, but you know, they've worked their way back in. Been patient, Fulham.
Tosin steps over the halfway line. Now Lamina switches the play out to this right-hand side where it's controlled neatly by Anguissa. Certainly a much improved player, Anguissa, from Fulham's last stint in the Premier League. He was linked with AC Milan in the summer. Here's Areola, who plays it forward to Tosin. Still deep inside the Fulham half of the field. Chelsea well organised here with everybody bar Havertz back behind the ball. De Cordova-Reid coming very deep. Again, it's picked up by Tosin, and he rolls it across the 18-yard line to Joachim Andersen, who actually is playing golf in the week with Andreas Christensen, his opposite number in the Chelsea defence. Joachim Andersen, and that will be an interesting first tee if Chelsea go on and win this game. Here is Reece James down the right-hand side for Chelsea. Ziyech with his back to goal just flicks it forward to Billy Gilmore. Always full of running, Gilmore, but Fulham win it back, and it's played out to the left-hand side, and Lookman, who's going to try and take on Reece James. He's got Robinson bursting forward on the overlap. Little back heel from De Cordova-Reid. It was a nice idea. Ziyech got there ahead of Lookman, but still Fulham come forward. This is Lamina, 30 yards from goal, chips it over the top and chips it out for a goal kick for Chelsea.
That was unlucky. I just wondered, De Cordova-Reid, did he really need to flick that back? Might have been able to go for goal himself, but it starts with Anthony Robinson. Really strong challenge on Gilmore. He's had a good start, Robinson, been on the front foot, aggressive. I think he's been a good signing. I think he's been probably one of Scott Parker's best. I mean, a lot of the permanent signings aren't actually starting, are they? They're on the bench, but Anthony Robinson's one of the permanents, and I think he's been really good.
It was an amazing story, wasn't it? I remember halfway through last season, on deadline day, Anthony Robinson was on a plane bound for the San Siro to sign for AC Milan. That move collapsed mid-flight. He had to go back to Wigan and then ended up signing for Fulham instead last summer. I think he'll be a good player for them in the Championship if they can't save themselves. They trail here by 1-0, and here are the latest odds from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get a Chelsea win at 13-2 on. You can back Fulham at 29-1 or back the draw at 17-2. That's all thanks to Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. Full terms at betfair.com, 18+, gambleaware.org. In comes the cross from the Fulham left-hand side, looking for Caballero, bounces harmlessly off his head and into the arms of Mendy, the goalkeeper.
Well, the Fulham bench just feel there was maybe a little bit of contact here on Caballero as that cross came in, but I don't think so. And just going back to that dressing room in the Championship, we spoke about Robinson. Imagine what it's going to be like, because all those loans, I imagine, probably won't be turned into permanents, or a large portion of them, so it'll be like a revolving door.
And of course, Scott Parker could be one of those to leave that revolving door. He's been heavily linked with a potential move to Tottenham in the wake of Jose Mourinho's departure. Chilwell with a scooping pass forward over the top of Anderson, but too much pace on it for Werner. Now to the edge of the area is Areola. Do you see why Tottenham could be attracted, David Connolly, by Scott Parker?
Yeah, I do. Obviously worked there before, you know, with the under-18s. He's got Matt Rose with him, who he brought from Tottenham as well, so I can see that. Obviously play for them, people at the top like him. They already given him one job there, so I could see that, but I just think Scott will need a bit more time anyway. You know, Jorginho spoke about Lampard, didn't he, missing those steps to becoming a manager, and sometimes, you know, there's nothing wrong with jotting down, you know, and getting another promotion if you can on your CV.
The information I'm getting out of Tottenham is that they're quite content to leave Ryan Mason in charge for the rest of the season as planned and continue their search for a successor to Jose Mourinho. Big decision, isn't it, for Daniel Levy? Tottenham way adrift, really, of the top four. Chelsea very much in there at the moment. They lead by a goal to nil. Kai Havertz with the only goal so far in the 10th minute. As it stands, Chelsea 6 points clear of West Ham. West Ham having played a game fewer, 7 clear on Liverpool, who play Manchester United, as we've already mentioned, tomorrow. And only 2 points behind Leicester in third, and Leicester have a difficult end of season running. Mind you, so did Chelsea. Manchester City away, Arsenal home, Villa away, and Leicester at home. That's why it's so imperative that Thomas Tuchel's men come away from this West London derby with the points safely stowed away. Here is Kurt Zouma playing it out from the Chelsea left back position. It's back now with Thiago Silva inside that 18-yard box. Ziyech trying to turn away and manages to play it through the legs of Anguissa, and he's into the Fulham half here, Ziyech, and he's got space ahead of him. Werner, poor touch on the edge of the area. Areola comes out and collapses over the top of the ball.
Yeah, terrible touch. We've seen that a few times, haven't we? I mean, we spoke about Werner at the start, but it's not just maybe Chelsea's misfiring, he's misfiring for Germany as well, and I don't know, I just wonder, just there, that was a really good ball. Ziyech had to zip it into him, because if he doesn't, it's not going to get to him in time, and that's where you just got to have a really good touch, soften it, cushion it, take it in your stride. But I don't even think he knew he had Tosin on his outside shoulder, so I think that is an area that they do need to look at, Chelsea. I know he works hard and he'll occupy a back line, Werner, but maybe someone else, maybe even Tammy's looking at him, or Oliver Giroud, thinking, you know, certainly Giroud with his touch there would have killed that ball, taken it in his stride and probably got a shot off.
15 minutes to go until half-time. You're listening to Game Day on Talk Sport. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. It's Mason Mount, the provider for the goal from Kai Havertz, plays it out the right-hand side. James dispossessed momentarily by Lookman, but Mount once again covering every blade of grass, picks it up now over on the right-hand side. And it's back now with Thiago Silva inside the centre circle. A real Rolls-Royce Thiago Silva at the heart of this Chelsea defence. A defence that has served Thomas Tuchel so well. 10 clean sheets in 14 Premier League games since Tuchel replaced Frank Lampard as manager, and Ziyech here trying to play it forward to Werner, intercepted by Ola Reina, and Fulham have it back now with Caballero down their right hand side. It's the old NFL saying, isn't it, David Connolly? Defence wins titles. Manchester City living proof of that. The fulcrum of their success this season has been on keeping the opposition out, and certainly that's the way that Thomas Tuchel has approached this job at Stamford Bridge as well. Yeah,
it'll be fascinating, won't it, in terms of when he gets a full season, you know, what that looks like, if he can keep that going.
Here's Havertz on the edge of the penalty area, gets it back from Mason Mount, just about keeps it in play. Does he have it? No, the flag goes up. It will be a goal kick, and a promising Chelsea attack comes to nothing. Again, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz both wreaking havoc.
Well, it's so difficult to pick them up in terms of the positions they take. They're not on the last line, so they're not on the back unit. They're not on the midfielders. They're sort of in between, drifting into the little pockets, so it's very difficult.
Chelsea have had 56% possession in this opening 32 minutes. They lead by a goal to nil. Fulham have actually had more attempts on goal, 6 to Chelsea's 2. And the only shot on target that Chelsea have mustered so far is the one that Kai Havertz slotted into the far corner to give them this 1-0 advantage in this West London derby, live on Talk Sport. Alex Crook and David Connolly calling the action, and plenty more action still to come this weekend and into midweek. A reminder, at 8 o'clock we'll have live and exclusive national radio commentary of Everton against Aston Villa. Then on Monday, it's the Black Country derby, West Brom against Wolves, live and exclusive on Talk Sport 2. And then Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday will be right across all of the European action as Manchester City on Tuesday take on Paris Saint-Germain on Talk Sport, looking to set up an all-English final. Chelsea have their second leg here against Real Madrid on Wednesday night, and then on Thursday the second leg of Roma against Manchester United. Manchester United with that 6-2 lead to take to the Italian capital, and that will include updates from Arsenal against Villarreal, that time much more delicately poised after Arsenal's 2-1 defeat in Spain on Thursday. I mean, if Thomas Tuchel does take Chelsea into the top 4, David, and they're very much favourites to do that based on this 1-0 lead, and he gets them to the Champions League final, that will be a very successful first half season in charge, won't it?
Yeah, it will. I mean, certainly that's building blocks, isn't it, for next season? Absolutely. And just looking at Fulham, I mean, I think out of all their front unit here, Ademola Lookman's looked the most lively. He's looked really bright every time he's got it, posing a problem for Christensen out on that side. Does he go with him? But he twists and turns and he's really sharp. Reece James, what does he do with him? He's had a good game so far, Lookman. Just need to probably get in the ball a little bit more often when they can.
Here is Joachim Andersen, the Danish defender for Fulham. He's actually the son of a Lego builder and spent part of lockdown building a giant Lego pyramid. Joachim Andersen. Anything to pass the time. I'm just thinking about your building blocks analogy there. It came into my head.
I teed you up pretty well there.
And here is Andersen, long raking ball forward, looking to release Lookman down the left-hand side. James heads it away for Chelsea. He's back with Thiago Silva. 2 yards inside his own penalty area. A little drop of the shoulder from Billy Gilmour to evade the attentions of both Lamina and De Cordova-Reid, and it's back now with Zuma 2 yards from his own touchline, and it's swept clear in the end by Edouard Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper. He made one really good save from Anthony Robinson, tipping his raking shot over the crossbar just before Kai Havertz opened the scoring for Chelsea. Fulham certainly played their part in this game, and again it's fine margins, and those fine margins more often than not have gone against Scott Parker's side over the course of the season, not least of course when they conceded that stoppage time equaliser against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. That felt like a real kick in the teeth. Here's Werner. Sliding in was Andersen, concedes a corner, although he protests the last touch was off Werner, but the assistant with his bright yellow flag over on that far side awards the corner.
Well, he's won a corner here, but there's Mason Mount that as soon as he didn't get the ball, just turned to Thiago Silva and said, give it to me next time. I mean, every time Silva's got it, he's probably, I reckon he's got 3 or 4 players just darting in behind at different times. First it was Chilwell, then it was Werner, then it was Mount, then it was Havertz, and eventually he picks out Werner. But there's so many players threatening that Fulham back line.
Well, it'll be interesting if Christensen gets a run on this. Up against Andersen, his golfing partner. Corner played into the near post, headed clear by Robinson. Wasn't a great delivery actually from Mason Mount, and Robinson clears almost to the halfway line. Hakim Ziyech there ahead of Caballero, nodded into touch in front of the home dugout here at Stamford Bridge.
We just haven't really seen Tuchel standing up, have we? I mean, Scotty Parker has been in his technical area the whole game, but Tuchel's been sat down for most of it.
Is he the best dressed manager in the Premier League, Scott Parker? Do you approve of his wardrobe?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not too shabby, is it?
Thomas Tuchel, more the tracksuit wearing coach. Here's Tosin well forward for Fulham. He's away from Gilmour, but I think Zuma will come across, and maybe Gilmour actually just impeded Tosin as he tried to come forward. The England under-19 international, so there's a free kick for Fulham, and again a chance for Joachim Andersen and indeed Tosin to come forward. Haven't really left anybody back at the moment. I think Ola Aina is just trying to solve that issue, just telling Anthony Robinson to sit a bit deeper. Mario Lemina is hanging back as well. The corner, or the free kick rather, is played by Lookman out to the left-hand side, and Robinson.
Well, they just weren't really set up for that. They've taken it short out to Robinson, and eventually he gives it short to Tosin, but he doesn't want it there. Bit of a mess up, that one from Fulham.
Well, one back by Lookman though from Werner. Lookman sprays it out to this right-hand side, and Lemina. Anguissa takes over. Plays it forward to Cavallero. Cavallero flanked by Zuma, so he goes all the way back into the Fulham half with Lemina, and here's Andersen back now in his centre-back position, and then Robinson dinks it forward down the left-hand side for Lookman, who backheels it back to Robinson. A race for pace here, and look at Reece James. He's like the Tasmanian devil, gobbling up the ground there. He gave Robinson a 2-yard head start, and Reece James still got to the ball first, David Coleman.
Yeah, good turn of pace. Look, we know that's what James possesses, but it starts with Lookman though.
Good ball again by Mason Mount, feeding Werner. Werner into the penalty area, cuts it back for Ziyech. Good save, Areola. That would have been a brilliant counter-attack goal from Chelsea. Mason Mount right at the heart of it again. Clever cut back from Werner. Ziyech didn't strike it cleanly, and Areola managed to claw it away.
Yeah, I think it's too straight. Didn't really open his foot out enough there, Ziyech, and I think he'll be disappointed with that. If he puts it a little bit more in the corner, opens his body out slightly, but yeah, good break in behind from Werner. He's always on that last man, isn't he? Threatening to run in behind. Nice awareness where Ziyech was, but just needed to open his foot out a little bit more and direct it more into the corner. I think I saw Sigurdsson score an absolute beauty like that, where he opened out his left foot and then guided it away from the goalkeeper superbly. But that one, a little bit close, too close to Areola.
Yeah, that was against Tottenham, wasn't it? Sigurdsson. Here's Mount linking up with Havertz again. They've been on the same wavelength in this opening 40 minutes, no question about that. Fulham again managed to clear the ball out of touch, and it will be a throw-in for Chelsea with 5 minutes the first half still to play. Here on Game Day on TalkSport, Chelsea won, Fulham 0. Earlier today, Manchester City winning away from home against Crystal Palace, and they are within touching distance now of their third Premier League title in 4 seasons. That will be sewn up potentially when Manchester United take on Liverpool tomorrow afternoon. And still to come this evening on TalkSport, we'll have commentary of Everton against Aston Villa as Ziyech releases Werner inside the area again. Werner with a low left-footed shot, just tried to steer the ball beyond Areola into the corner. It's an easy save, and another good move from Chelsea. The score is Chelsea 1, Fulham 0 on TalkSport with WeBuyAnyCar.com, rated excellent on Trustpilot with over 90,000 reviews. It's been an excellent performance so far from Chelsea, and particularly Mason Mount, who's just flicked the ball away somewhat in frustration after a free kick was awarded for a Chilwell foul on Anguissa. I think a yellow card is to be shown here.
Yeah, a little bit late here, but just going back to this chance, I think it's Anguissa that gives it away, and eventually Werner slipped in. He's had a couple of chances, quick succession. That one on his left foot. And I guess if you throw Pulisic into the mix, when they've got so many players that are darting in behind, we saw that against Real, saw him against Man City.
Here are Fulham trying to dart in behind with Robinson, who's been a real threat down that left-hand side. Anthony Robinson, well defended by Reece James on this occasion, then glanced forward by the pint-sized Gilmour in midfield. He'd only played 2 sub-Premier League appearances this season before being handed a starting role today. Billy Gilmour not featured at all since January the 3rd. Again, a player that Chelsea fans have high hopes for, having come through the academy.
Well, signed from Rangers, wasn't he? He was one of those. I think they plucked him from from Rangers. What was he, 14 or 15 or something like that? They do that pretty well, don't they, Chelsea?
That's the way a lot of Premier League clubs do it now, isn't it? As opposed to inheriting players when they're 8 or 9, they suck them from other clubs as teenagers.
Well, they kind of got the mix here, haven't they? You know, in terms of you've got your Reece James and your Mason Mount that's come through at that sort of age, 8 and 9, and then you've got those that they maybe see and spot from elsewhere and bring them in. The likes of Gilmore.
And they've got these satellite academies, Chelsea, as well, up and down the south-east in particular. Mason Mount, for example, was actually born in Gosport in Hampshire. Big Portsmouth fan. By rights, he should have been in the Pompey Academy.
Should have had my shirt on, shouldn't he?
Here come Fulham. Good ball into the area by Caballero. Josh Maja hasn't seen too much of the ball so far, and he tried to hold it up there but couldn't. And it's Hakim Ziyech looking to get Chelsea on the counter-attack. Sweeping pass out to his left-hand side. Mason Mount brings it down on the chest and then taps it forward to Havertz in the penalty area. Good ball just over the head of Werner, though. Mount tries to nod it back in towards the German, and it's volleyed upfield by Tosin. Once again, it was a great attack from Chelsea. Just the final ball slightly overhit for Werner. But they are working so well in tandem. The front four really for Chelsea: Mount, Ziyech, Havertz and Werner. It's a combination to which so far Fulham haven't really had the answer. And here's Mount again in the blue footwear into Werner just on the edge of the D. It's cleared as far as Reece James. Chelsea still in possession though. James made sure of that, giving it back to Andreas Christensen. Christensen, who's kept a clean sheet on each of his last 7 Premier League starts. And this is Zuma now over the halfway line as we tiptoe towards the half-time interval. Chelsea leading by a Kai Havertz goal to 0 here on Game Day on TalkSport. Fulham at the moment sat back inside their own half away to our left. Chilwell side foots the ball into the feet of Hakim Ziyech, buzzing around Ziyech, and then giving it back to Zuma, and Havertz was swept off his feet by Ola Reina. Chelsea have a free kick 4 yards in from the touchline. I guess at the moment Scott Parker might be quite content, David, just to get back to the dressing room. Well, only 1-0 down.
Yeah, I guess he would, but such a difficult half-time team talk. So difficult, because I think obviously they know the Brighton result. They're 1-0 down, conceded early. Chelsea have had a lot of possession, and I guess he'll cling to sort of some aspects of the game in terms of winning the ball high, getting a couple of opportunities early on, but it's a thankless task, just chasing shadows really. And it's so hard. Look at the position that Mason Mount takes up. You know, he's on the outside of Lamina. So difficult, for example, for those midfielders to go and pin him and mark him. Just really intelligent positions he takes, you know. So what do? Jim Robinson, if you go in on him, then that leaves Reece James free. If Lamina goes out to Mason Mount, it means Havertz is free. It's so hard. And they're so good, you know. They can twist and turn, and they're quick enough to come short and then dart in behind.
Well, they've kept the ball for about 2.5 minutes here, Chelsea. Christensen out to the right-hand side. Mason Mount takes over into the penalty area, pokes it forward for Christensen, trying to return it for Mason Mount, couldn't pick him out, and it's De Cordova-Reid who runs it clear towards the halfway line for Fulham as we move into 1 added minute at the end of the first half here on TalkSport. I mean, credit to Thomas Tuchel, because he is naturally a defence-minded coach, but I think Chelsea have slowly become more expansive.
Well, do you know what credit to him is? Because you've got to remember, when he got his previous jobs, right, he took over from really established coaches, Jurgen Klopp, Unai Emery, and he kind of just kept, you know, the formation and everything the same. But when he came here, he immediately ripped up what Frank was doing in terms of the back four, because Frank he played it a couple of times, but obviously he was a 4-3-3 man, and, you know, that was his way from the first game. He's only deviated once, I think, and other than that, you know, he's evolved as a coach, I guess, and credit to him, because he probably could have stuck with what Frank was doing, you know, but spotted this shape was going to suit the players that he had.
And he's certainly made his own mark already. Last action of the first half will be a Fulham free kick. Lookman plays it in towards the penalty area, headed away by Reece James, just on the edge of the D. Now on Grisa, over on the left-hand side for Fulham. Tries some fancy footwork to get away from Havertz, then leaves it for Robinson to cross. Lookman brings it down. Ola Reina with a shot, took a deflection, clawed away by Mendy. deckled over Reed, couldn't quite get on the end of the rebound. That's another excellent save right at the end of the first half, because it took a massive deflection and Mendy had to adjust his footing and still managed to claw it away, David Conley.
Yeah, wonderful reaction save here. Straight from the edge of the box, takes a little nick as it's going through, and it's going to his right hand side, then quickly has to move his feet down to the left, and he gets his left hand down. Super save.
So a big moment from Mendy right at the end of the first half. The whistle has sounded. The Fulham players trudging back to their makeshift dressing room down by the right corner flag on this near touchline. Chelsea exiting via the traditional route down the tunnel on halfway. The goal that separates these two West London neighbours, scored in the 10th minute. Kai Havertz rounding off an excellent move involving Mason Mount. But Edouard Mendy at the end of the first half there making his second big save of the opening 45 minutes. Half time though, it's going Chelsea's way. It is Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Thank you, Faye. A nervy afternoon for me tomorrow. A nervy 45 minutes potentially for Fulham, and also for the teams trying to run down Chelsea in the race for the top four. Chelsea leading by a goal to nil. Kai Havertz rounding off an excellent move with only 10 minutes played as it stands. Chelsea 6 points clear of West Ham in fifth, 7 in front of Liverpool, and very much the favourites to go on and claim their place in the Champions League next season. Their players have been out for a good 60 seconds or so. The Fulham players have just emerged from their dressing room away to the right hand side. Doesn't look as if either manager, David Conley, will make any changes at this stage.
No, I don't think so. But this is, I guess, for Scotty Parker, he wants them to start well. I think he needs his two centre-halves, looking at that goal, to be as aggressive as his full-backs. Robinson, I think, has been outstanding for him, but you would say the way Mason Mount took that out the sky, he would probably be really disappointed at half-time with that. But, certainly Anderson didn't engage him, or Olaina maybe a little bit better as well.
Well, we are back off and underway. Fulham in their white shirts and shorts, black socks, attacking the goal away to our left, where the travelling supporters would normally be mustered in this near left corner. Chelsea in their blue shirts, blue shorts, white socks, attacking the Matthew Harding stand on the right hand side as we look high up in the television gantry here at Stamford Bridge. A reminder, Everton against Aston Villa still to come, an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's Chelsea on the attack here with Kai Havertz tapping it forward to Werner, and it was smuggled away by Joachim Andersen for Fulham. No change then for either side. Chelsea with Mendy in goal, Christensen, Thiago Silva and Zuma in defence, James Gilmore, Mount and Chilwell in midfield. Ziyech, Havertz supporting Werner in attack. For Fulham it's Areola in goal, Aina, Anderson, Tosin and Robinson in the back four. Decordova, Reed, Anguissa, Lamina and Lookman make up midfield, with Josh Maja, who's barely had a kick in the opening 47 minutes, alongside Ivan Caballero up front. And for anybody not yet fully signed up to the Mason Mount fan club, he's now created 40 goal-scoring chances, more than any other Chelsea player this season. Of course, he provided the assist for Havertz to score the only goal. Yeah,
terrific touch and pass as well. But Werner and Havertz have linked up well, haven't they? As a pair in up there, they're playing as a two. I think Havertz is better, I think, alongside somebody. I know he's played up top on his own against Leeds, but here it's just, I think, the sort of little link-up play in tight spaces from Werner. He's just letting down at times, that Kraft and Garland, really, really tight areas. I think it's great when he's racing away from players and defences and then slotting across the box, but in really close quarters, which I think, they'll look at, they'll need when they get to, say, I don't know, Madrid or get to the final, that next evolution of this team in terms of a centre forward being really good in tight spaces.
Real Madrid, the next visitors to Stamford Bridge on Wednesday. We'll have you covered here on Talk Sport as Chelsea bid to reach the Champions League final for the third time, losing on penalties to Manchester United in Moscow, but beating Bayern Munich to win the European Cup, with Didier Drogba converting the crucial spot kick. And who knows, Thomas Tuchel could yet add another major piece of silverware to their glittering honours list. Here is Kai Havertz wriggling away from Robinson on the edge of the Fulham area. Werner plays it forward. Here is Havertz, and Havertz has rolled it into the bottom corner. and Kai Havertz is at the double for Chelsea. It's a lightning quick start to the second half, surely to wrap up the points and the bragging rights in this West London derby. It is Chelsea 2, Fulham 0. It's another unerring finish from Kai Havertz.
Yeah, it's a brilliant goal. It starts with a longer pass though, Alex, a crossfield ball from Chilwell. I mean, Robinson initially cut out a ball for Fulham, went on the run, lost possession. There's a big hole in that full-back area. Well, can a player like Ben Chilwell exploit it? Yes, he can. Brilliant ball on the diagonal, out to Havertz, takes it out the sky beautifully, cuts infield, gives the ball to Timo Werner, makes a brilliant diagonal run across the box. Werner picks him out, a little straight pass, and a lovely low diagonal finish from Havertz. Started and made again with a longer pass from that Chelsea backline, but finished beautifully.
Well, he scored after 10 minutes in the first half. He's taken just 4 minutes to double that tally, but there is a VAR check according to the big screen for a possible offside. All eyes now on Kevin Friend, who puts his right hand to his ear. Darren England will be taking a close look at this at Stockley Park, but the goal is given. Onside is the decision. It's just appeared on the television screen away to my left, and Kai Havertz has indeed doubled his and Chelsea's tally. And you have to say, David Conley, it looked a tall order for Fulham at half-time. It looks a much bigger one now.
Yeah, that is a really good goal. You know, I spoke about Werner, his hold-up play, link-up play in tight spaces, where here he is just dropping off the front, puts a lovely ball in between the centre-half and full-back for Havertz, lays it on a plate really. He's got such a simple finish, just to twist his hips and guide it into that bottom corner. This time the keeper doesn't get a touch on it, unlike the first goal, where he went low as well. And it was tight, but got to say, good ball in behind, wasn't it, from Chilwell as well.
Yeah, we didn't actually get a chance to see the lines being drawn at Stockley Park, but clearly Havertz timed his run to perfection. Cool finish as well, picked out the same corner, albeit at the opposite end of the ground.
And both goals came from a long ball from the back, you know, so able to mix it up well and exploit those sorts of spaces, and terrifically well executed from Chilwell.
So a good night so far for Chelsea. Fulham plunging closer towards the championship. It isn't unfeasible that they could find themselves 10 points adrift of safety by the end of this game week. Fulham, I mentioned in the first half, they staged a great escape under Roy Hodgson back in 2008, but no imminent signs, no obvious signs of a repeat.
Yeah, and that was a difficulty with the half-time team talk, you know, as well as they had done in the first few minutes, obviously conceding, and then you're going up against a side that don't concede goals themselves. So that team talk for Scott probably be one of his hardest, I think, trying to rally the troops.
It's another long ball over the top from Thiago Silva this time. It just glances off the head of Ola Reina. Havertz on this occasion was offside, and it will be a free kick for Fulham. We've played 7 minutes in the second half. You're listening to Game Day here on Talk Sport. Alex Crook and David Conley, the former Republic of Ireland striker. It is Chelsea 2, Fulham 0. And you have to go back 7 years, David, since Fulham won away from home in the Premier League in a London derby. That was a 2-1 victory over West Ham 23 matches ago. That was their last win in any London derby, in fact, in the Premier League. And there are a lot of London teams in the top flight. If you can't beat your neighbours, you're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think this was always going to be a challenge. The best they could hope for was a really disjointed performances, you know, from a lot of the players after the Champions League. But they got that early goal, that settled them down, and obviously this one just after half time is a real killer as well.
Here's Mario Lemina. Fulham actually started the first half reasonably brightly. Edward Mendy making that fingertip save to deny Robinson. Mendy called into action again right at the end of the first half, but he's been a spectator so far since the restart. Reece James has given it away to Robinson. Here's Lookman 5 yards outside the penalty area, sprays it out to Anguissa. Little step over to wriggle away from Gilmour, but he's still forced back towards halfway, and Anderson. And now Tosin, with those long telescopic legs, comes forward for Fulham. attacking the shed end away to our left-hand side. They've given away possession cheaply. It's with Hakim Ziyech on halfway, and then Gilmour just guides it into the feet of Chilwell. Chilwell with only Timo Werner ahead of him. Werner lays it off for Ziyech again, and this is Gilmour over on the left-hand side for Chelsea. Gilmour skips away from Maja. A very difficult afternoon for the former Sunderland striker Josh Maja, signed on loan from Bordeaux in the January transfer window. Just 3 goals, 2 of them in the same game against Everton. And it's that lack of goals at the top end of the pitch which really have been the deciding factor in Fulham struggling so badly.
Yeah, I remember playing here for Wigan against Mourinho's Chelsea up front on my own, and it was thankless tasks like Josh Maja, just chasing shadows, and we got away 1-0 defeat that day, but it's a really hard job for Maja, and he hasn't really been in the game. The 2 wide men have looked sort of the most likely route for Fulham, especially Lookman has been very, very bright.
Here's Olorena for Fulham. Room to run into inside the Chelsea half. He's away from Gilmour and he plays it out to the right, and Cavallero pokes it forward into the box looking for deckled over Reed, but well defended again by Kurt Zouma. He hammers it clear over the halfway line, and Anderson had to get there ahead of Havertz, who was hunting, and it's with Anguissa now just inside Chelsea territory. Chelsea leading by 2-0.
Well, do you know what?
10 minutes of the second half.
Do you know what, Alex, as well? Because Chelsea got this front 2, it just means Fulham have got to keep 3 back at times. So it's so hard for Olorena to get forward as an attacking outlet for them. And that's the benefit, I guess, of the 2. The 2 up top.
Chelsea have played 22 games in all competitions under Thomas Tuchel. 16 clean sheets in those 22 matches. Only 10 goals conceded. That's the enormity now that is facing Fulham as they try and get back into this West London derby. And they have the ball with Lookman midway inside Chelsea territory. Forward from Anguissa to Maja. A neat little turn from Anguissa on the edge of the area. Lemina's threaded it back to him. Anguissa turning inside the 18-yard box, but Reece James bravely throwing his body in the way of the cross from Robinson out for a Fulham throw.
Yeah, brilliant block from James, but as the ball rolled across the box of Lemina, I think he's just got to pull the trigger here. Tries to be too clever and get another pass in and around the box. Just try and get your shot off.
This is Lemina, on loan from Southampton. I don't think they particularly want him back at the end of the season, but Fulham only obliged to buy Lemina permanently should they stay up, which looks unlikely. As Olorena hits the byline and crosses into the area, and it was not the most convincing piece of defending from Reece James, concedes a corner.
Yeah, I just think Christensen gets in his way here. He doesn't really know whether Christensen's going to clear it. In the end, he sort of ducks out of it, and Reece James, suddenly ball just comes to him on his chest. He had no choice there. It's gone out of play.
Reece James has actually been the most used player since Thomas Tuchel came in for Chelsea. Made his 50th Premier League appearance here against Brighton recently, the 21-year-old. It's a corner for Fulham, their first of the second half, their 5th in total over the course of the evening.
Well, I remember going to walk my dog in my local park and I'd see his dad's van down there. Yeah, doing a bit of coaching.
Big football family.
He's big as well, his dad. So I imagine Reece is a big boy too.
Long delay between the corner being awarded and actually being played in here by Lookman. It wasn't worth the wait. Didn't clear the first man, headed away by the 2-goal Havertz. Scored against Crystal Palace in a comfortable Chelsea win at Selhurst Park. That was his first goal in 17 matches. Kai Havertz, 2 already today. Maybe giving Thomas Tuchel a bit of a selection headache for that second leg of the Champions League semi-final in midweek. Here's Lemina playing it forward to Anguissa. Good spell of possession from Fulham, but not really in an area where Chelsea will feel under any threat. Forward it goes from Olorena and collected by Anguissa inside the centre circle, but Chelsea quite content to let Fulham have the ball there. Here's Robinson though, looking for a more direct approach, accelerating towards the penalty area, flicked it forward, looking for the run of Cavallero, but far too close to Edouard Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yeah, he just had it. Cavallero had so much ground to make up, coming off that right wing, drifting on the inside. The right idea from Robinson, just the execution, and just looking at that bench again. I mean, Scott Parker has been up all game, but Thomas Tuchel has just been taking his seat. I haven't seen him standing up, very relaxed, obviously.
We'll have some team news from Goodison Park. There is shortly Everton against Aston Villa. That's an 8 o'clock kick-off, live and exclusive here on Talk Sport. And a huge week ahead, both domestically and in Europe, with those Champions League semi-final second legs on Tuesday and Wednesday night. Second leg of Manchester United's Europa League semi-final against Roma on Thursday. And then next weekend, still plenty to play for in the EFL. We've got the last day of the Championship season on TalkSport 2 on Saturday. Those matches get underway at 12:30. And we'll also be right across the big games, the big stories in League One on Sunday.
Well, just a little moment there where Scotty Parker had a little pause in play. There was a free kick and he called over Bobby Reid and he said, "Yeah, give me a bit of paper." Bobby then got the bit of paper, went and gave it to Lamina, and then Lamina now is just stuck like glue to Hakim Ziyech.
Why has it taken Scott Parker an hour to pass on that instruction?
Well, and what's interesting is if you recall, say, Steve Bruce when he put on Matt Ritchie, and apparently he didn't get the instructions across in terms of formation. Well, it's written down in paper here, so there's no excuses. As long as you can read his writing.
Very old-fashioned, isn't it? Passing on notes. Here's Ziyech. Almost got away there from Anderson. Good sliding tackle by the Fulham defender on the edge of his own penalty area, and they've got a possible breakaway here. Anguissa leading the charge. He's got Caballero to his right, comes infield instead for Lamina. They've just slowed the game down, Fulham, and that's given Chelsea the chance to get bodies back behind the ball. Here is Lookman though, might think about a shot from long range, rolls it instead into Anguissa. Anguissa 30 yards from goal, so his side puts it out to the right hand side, and the yellow-booted Caballero. Caballero's cross towards the far post, nodded behind by Reece James, and Fulham have another corner.
Well, it's a good ball in, I guess, if you had maybe Mitrovic in the box, but they don't. So that sort of delivery would be ideal for him. But this is the first time I've really seen Tuchel now out of his seat. He's got his arms out. He's not happy. Not too sure what about, though.
Ademola Lookman, as he has throughout the game, will take the corner from the near side as we look. The Fulham left, so it's going to be a right-footed delivery. That's surely too close to Mendy. That's a really disappointing dead ball from Ademola Lookman, and the score remains Chelsea 2, Fulham 0 on TalkSport with Now. Don't forget, with Now you can watch Newcastle against Arsenal and Manchester United against Liverpool, that title decider, live tomorrow on Sky Sports for just £9.99. Search Now Sports. Here's Havertz looking for a hat-trick. Brilliant tackle. What a challenge that is from Tosin, because Kai Havertz, having scored twice already, was bearing down on goal. Looked like he was going to pull the trigger any second and make it 3-0, and across comes Tosin and denies Havertz, who might have been offside anyway, David Conley.
Yeah, I think he's just given it for offside, but terrific ball over the top. Again, I think it's Ben Chilwell. Superb crossfield pass, but wonderful block from Tosin.
I mentioned Fulham's lamentable record in London derbies. Chelsea, in contrast, have taken 19 points against their capital rivals this season. That's more than any other London team, and they're looking like they're going to take 3 more here. 62 minutes played. You're listening to Talk Sport with Alex Crook and David Connolly, where it's Chelsea 2, Fulham 0.
Well, just going back to, say, Thiago Silva, if you think about when he came in and his age, and people saying that on his debut, when he struggled, but look at him now and look at, say, Edison Cavani. The impact those two players, sort of a little bit older, maybe don't quite have the legs or whatever, but got the quality, the absolute highest quality, and coming to the Premier League and both performing absolutely brilliantly.
Are you surprised that we're 63 minutes in and Scott Parker hasn't gone to the bench yet? Fulham clearly need more of a goal threat. Where's Mitrovic?
Well, where's Mitrovic? Do you know how many goals he's got coming off the bench? None.
I'm guessing you do.
Well, none, because, unless I'm mistaken, and I did a little piece on coming off the bench this week, and I think they've really struggled for anybody to grab a goal off the bench, so maybe he feels that his best team is actually out there.
But it's just gone a bit stale, hasn't it? They've had lots of the ball, Fulham, in this second half, and you can't just judge Mendy hasn't been tested.
No, and look, it's not fair just to judge him on goals, but the impact and assists. I think if you look when he started the game, and he scored, didn't he, against Aston Villa, but coming off the bench, I don't really think he's had the impact that maybe Scott would have wanted.
Here's Mason Mount for Chelsea. It was a good ball down this right-hand side from James to set away his fellow academy product, and then Chilwell has just plucked it from the sky and knocked it forward to Havertz. Good challenge by Olorena for Fulham though, and here's Anguissa, who I think might just be on the radar of Premier League clubs, Anguissa, given the season he's had. This is another powerful drive into Chelsea territory.
Yeah, because he does that, they call him take-ons. I think that's the stat that they give him, but he's in like top 3, top 5 I think. I saw somewhere for take-ons. He takes the ball in tight areas. He can do a little step over like that, middle of the pitch, get away. He's got a little turn of speed as well. I mean, I think he could have maybe had a free kick there, but he didn't. But he's been good. He's been good for them, certainly.
This man on the ball has impressed me as well, Billy Gilmore. He's just been efficient in possession, not tried to do anything too eye-catching, but gone quietly about his business. It's been a really professional performance from Chelsea, and that's what you need when you've got Real Madrid coming here in midweek.
Yeah, and what he's done differently as well, Tuchel, Frank used to have one sitter. They'd have one holding midfield player in front of the back four, and even say when Kante played, he'd be like an 8, wouldn't he, an attacking 8. But Thomas has come in and gone, no, we're always going to have 2. We're going to have 2 sitting in front, and we're going to sort of shift and slide. And that's your job, whether it's Kante or Jorginho or maybe Gilmour in there today, sliding, shifting, sliding, getting across the pitch, shutting the angles down. And yeah, he has done it well today.
You're making me want to dance the way you were shifting your body from side to side there. The nightclubs aren't open yet, David Conley. Just calm yourself down a bit. 65 minutes gone. Chelsea 2, Fulham 0.
Well, they are in Liverpool though, I believe. Well, they did have a test event there for a good few thousand.
Is that right?
Seat. Yeah.
Did you get a ticket?
No, unfortunately.
So throw in for Fulham over on the far side, but not before Chelsea can make the first change of the evening. N'Golo Kanté, one of the 5 players rested, is coming on and replacing Hakim Ziyech, who has just trudged off over on the far side. He has to walk all the way around the perimeter of the pitch now, Hakim Ziyech.
And that just means that shifting and sliding. Kante's gone in there now rather than Mason Mount, so it's Kante and Gilmour. They're the 2 that will shift and slide, and Mason Mount now just bumps up a little bit higher, sort of just behind the front 2.
Kai Havertz with 2 goals to give Chelsea this 2-goal advantage. And they are 25 minutes away from their 30th clean sheet of the season, Chelsea. If they get another clean sheet here against Real Madrid on TalkSport on Wednesday night, they will be in the Champions League final with that away goal from the first leg, when probably they had enough chances actually to win. Here is Caballero crossing into the penalty area, nodded behind by Reece James for another corner for Fulham, their 7th.
It was a good ball in, wasn't it? But again, it's a sort of Mitrovic type of cross. You need someone on the end like that, and I don't know, Caballero lurking at the back post, it's not really his game.
Ademola Lookman, who's taken all of Fulham's corners so far, is about to deliver this one. The floodlights on top of that shed end away to our left, just shining down. It's a gloomy evening now in West London, but not if you're of Chelsea persuasion. Chelsea rooting themselves in the top 4, and West Ham and Liverpool with it all to do now in terms of Champions League qualification. Here is N'Golo Kanté. Reece James plays it.
Well, that's so cheap.
Thiago Silva.
Alex, that is so cheap. I mean, Robinson's got a simple throw, just gives it to Lookman and say, go on then, just bounce it back to me. Instead, it's a terrible touch. It's give away to Kante, and now Chelsea got the ball back. And just little simple restarts like that, throw-ins, and they might not see the ball now for another minute. Fulham.
And there have been long periods in the game where Chelsea have just kept the ball, almost like they're playing with the ball of their own, and they're doing that here. Zuma's played it out to the right with Christensen bringing it down from the sky.
And then what they do with that time is they've got the players to pick a pass, right? As we've seen, whether it's Zuma at the back, if you go tight and get locked onto them, then it's probably one of the players in the middle of the park that will do the damage, whereas, if you give Chilwell time, you give Silva time, they'll pick someone out, so it's got to look after it better for them.
It will obviously be a different test, a different Chelsea team in midweek, but if they can produce this level of performance Would you expect them to go through against Real Madrid?
Yeah, they'll have to produce a better level of performance, I think, but they're certainly capable of that as well.
And then it's Manchester City away from home, live on TalkSport next Saturday. If City don't win the title this weekend, then that should be the game in which they do. We've got all the big games here on the TalkSport network between now and the end of the season, not just in the Champions League and the Premier League, but the EFL as well. Already some big stories down the divisions today. Southend relegated to the National League, Hull City crowned champions in League One, Peterborough promoted, Rochdale went down, Norwich sealing the championship title, and still lots of teams in danger of relegation to League One. It's going to be a fantastic final week of the season. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic end of the season for Chelsea as well. We are midway through the second half here on TalkSport, courtesy of a Kai Havertz goal early in both halves. Chelsea leading Fulham by 2-0. Here are the latest odds from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get a Chelsea win at 50-1 on. If you think Fulham will come back and do the unthinkable, you can back them at 499-1. Back the draw at 49-1. That's all thanks to Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. Full terms at betfair.com. 18+. Gambleaware.org. There's a problem here for Chelsea. They've got a player down in the centre circle. I think it's Mason Mount receiving treatment, just looking at the blue boots. Yeah, he just went up for an aerial challenge and a little bit of an awkward fall, and actually very gracious, although if there are fans here, I think Fulham fans would be screaming at him not to kick it out, because it's not a head injury. And, I think they should have played on, but very sportingly, they put it out of play. And Mason Mount is one player that Thomas Tuchel definitely can't afford to lose ahead of such a big week for Chelsea. And he is back on his feet, just rather slowly making his way towards this near touchline. Looks a bit groggy, David Connolly. I think it's just his back. Just landed awkwardly right on the small of his back, and that's where he reached for immediately. I'm sure he'll be okay. Well, we're into the final 19 minutes here. You probably wouldn't risk it though, would you? If you're unsure, 2-0 up, Real Madrid coming up, you'd probably go, you know what, that'll do you for today. Well, that game against Real Madrid will be Mason Mount's 49th game of the season. And here is Joachim Andersen for Fulham. We'll get the team news from Goodison Park in just a moment as Mario Lemina picks it up in the centre of the Fulham half. Everton taking on Aston Villa live on TalkSport in an hour's time. As Fulham continue to play the ball around inside their own half, Anderson might go more direct. He plays it out to the left, and Robinson. Now Tosin goes back to Anderson just on the edge of the... Looks like almost damage limitation for Fulham, David Connolly. They're not exactly busting a gut to get back in this game. Well, it's just so difficult for them. I think they need to just settle down and just have a little bit of time on the ball and gain some confidence, get a foothold in the game. They know they can't, rush it and lose possession, concede it, and not see it again for another minute or two. And here's Tosin. He just showed too much of that to Mason Mount, who is back at full capacity. Werner trying to give it back to Mount inside the penalty area. Should be cleared away by Ola Reina, and that's very quickly hot-footed to Merseyside. Get those teams. Everton against Aston Villa. In fact, here's Werner inside the penalty area. We'll keep Mark Wilson waiting a bit longer. Chilwell across the box. It's turned behind by Tosin, and Mark can now bring us those teams. Yeah, Everton beat Arsenal last weekend. Carlo Ancelotti names an unchanged lineup as they look to keep their European hopes alive. For Villa, one change from the draw with West Brom. Matty Cash back from suspension. He comes in for Hel Mohamed, who drops to the bench. Live on TalkSport from 8, Everton against Villa. That will be our third live Premier League game of the day here on TalkSport, as Mason Mount again tries to tee up Havertz. Didn't quite reach him, cleared by Tosin. And it's with Kurt Zouma now 2 yards inside the Fulham half, and that clock rapidly counting down, not just today for Fulham, but maybe in terms of their Premier League survival. As it stands, they are 9 points behind Newcastle and Burnley, both of whom still to play this weekend, and they are 10 points back on Southampton. Here's Kai Havertz, their tormentor-in-chief this evening. Into Reece James, tries to tee up. Werner clawed away by Areola. Just a bit too close to the French goalkeeper. And Fulham will clear it upfield via their left-back Robinson. Neat move again, David Connolly.
Yeah, really good football. I mean, Havertz at the heart of everything, just slipping the ball in between the fullback, Robinson, but Reece James did that little cross, a bit too close to the goalkeeper.
And I mentioned that Fulham themselves have come back from a seemingly impossible position to seal safety late in the season already during the Premier League era. Aston Villa, at this stage last season, they were 7 points adrift of safety with 4 games to play and survive. Fulham are, as we mentioned, 9 points adrift with games running out. But they're going to have to win every game, David Connolly, and this performance doesn't smack of a team who are equipped to do that.
I know, but look, they are facing Chelsea here, so this was always going to be a thankless task. And those games they've got coming up are obviously more winnable. Certainly, if you've got Burnley or Southampton, the form the Saints are in. Newcastle home at the end, but by then obviously it could be gone. The United game is another tough one, but
it might not be though, because Manchester United might well have sealed second place by then. They might be preparing for a Europa League final. Well, they will be preparing for a Europa League final unless Roma are going to score 5 times on Thursday.
But we've seen City change, we've seen Chelsea change, and they're still strong, aren't they? That's the issue you face.
Ultimately, over the course of the season, Fulham just haven't been good enough, and it hasn't necessarily been due to a lack of endeavour, lack of effort. I think it's just been due to a lack of quality, particularly in the final third, and that's been proven again here, because they started the game well, conceded to Kai Havertz in the 10th minute, and then they conceded to Havertz again 4 minutes into the second half, and Chelsea now really are just playing out time as Fulham prepare to make a change.
And Chelsea, by the looks of it,
there's the lesser spotted Tammy Abraham, who will be coming on for Chelsea. He's only played 3 minutes since February the 20th. Tammy Abraham, and it is Mason Mount, maybe just as a precaution, having picked up that knock to the back, who is going to make way.
Yeah, sensible, I think, sensible change. Interesting change here in terms of Tammy coming on, because obviously he hasn't seen a lot of football. Whether this is swan song for him, or I'm sure that he's going to be sold this summer, I think, Tammy. So whether this is putting him in the shop window in a game where they're comfortably up.
And there's going to be a double Fulham change as well. Josh Onoma, the former Tottenham player, and Fabio Carvalho, the 18-year-old, coming on for his Premier League debut. Carvalho, and it's Ivan Caballero and Mario Lemina who are making way for Scott Parker's team.
Well, it looks like Tammy's gone straight up top, and then that means Kai Havertz has just dropped back a little bit, just off the front in that number 10 role.
Josh Onoma, by the way, coming on to make his 100th career league appearance for Fulham, who need a goal. They need one quickly if they are to mount any kind of comeback. They trail by 2-0, and we've got 13 minutes plus stoppage time.
They've never gone forward with purpose, have they, Alex? Whenever they've turned the ball over, Fulham, they've had a progressive pass or two, and then that is it, then it's stopped. And it's just allowed Chelsea, you said it a couple of times, they're now back in shape, and they just haven't been purposeful enough. Nowhere near.
Is that a lack of confidence?
Yeah, possibly. Don't have enough runners going in behind. They've got Caballero here, but there's only him, maybe Madja on the back line. That is it.
They've actually fared pretty well away from home against the top 8 this season. 10 points against those top 8 on their travels. They're just delaying the changes, Fulham. David Connolly's pointing over on the far side.
Well, it's like Lemina's gone off on that side.
And Caballero.
Yeah.
They're the two Fulham players making way, and it's Carvalho for his debut in the Premier League. Onoma belatedly coming on. I mean, even the fact they took so long to make the changes kind of sums up Fulham's performance in this second half. It's been timid. It's been apprehensive. And they trail by 2-0. Anthony Robinson there, though, out-muscling Abraham high up the field for Fulham. Plays it into Madja. Here's on Greaser, thought about the shot, rolls it out to the right and deckled over Reed instead. Reed jinking past Chilwell, but his curling effort was blocked by Christensen. Anderson puts it back into the area, headed away by his fellow Dane Christensen, and it's now with Tosin inside the centre circle. His clearance deflects off Timo Werner and loops kindly into the direction of Robinson. Chelsea again have won it back relatively comfortably. Reece James being closed down by Carvalho, who knocks it out for a Fulham throw on this near side.
I think Robinson's been really, really good for Fulham. I know I've said it a few times, but I think Scotty Parker just needed a few more like him. You know, he's put everything into his performance out there. He's been the most likely, I know, from full-back areas, but I don't think he could have done any more out here.
Fulham in possession, just inside their own half of the field, with Olorena, the former Chelsea youngster, plays it all the way back to the goalkeeper, Areola. One of a number of those loanees that David Connolly has been speaking about all evening, on loan from Paris Saint-Germain, part of France's World Cup winning squad.
It's unusual, isn't it? Don't you think? I think it's worth discussing, and I don't think it's been touched on enough. But you know, obviously, because I've been in so many dressing rooms, and you know, when you've got so many loanees, it's a really different dynamic. And basically, they all start, and it's the signings that are on the bench, and you know, that's going to be a big turnover in the summer for Fulham. A lot of change, and you look at those sides that have gone straight back up, Norwich and Watford, been pretty settled, haven't they? So
you look across this 11. Areola I've just mentioned. Aina is on loan from Torino. Anderson from Lyon. Lemina from Southampton, he started the game. Lookman on loan from Leipzig. Madja from Bordeaux.
Yep.
It's going to be a whole new Fulham team in the Championship next season.
Oh, well, it'll probably be the bench that's been used. You know, and a lot of those lads will be thinking, well, you know, we weren't good enough last season. So, yeah, it's the focus, I guess, will be on Fulham and Scott Parker, and there'll be an awful lot of business happening down at Mott's-Bar Park, that's for sure.
Well, they've got Tim Ream on the bench as well, the American. He's been up and down between the Premier League and the Championship more times than the average elevator in a big office block, Tim Ream. One of those players who just doesn't seem to have the manager's faith to make the step up from the second tier to the top flight.
Well, look, Scotty Parker gave him a chance, didn't they? I think he certainly gave all those players a chance who got him up.
Marcos Alonso is going to get the chance to finish this game for Chelsea. I think a lot of Chelsea fans maybe expected Alonso might start today in place of Ben Chilwell, but Chilwell is going to get the final few minutes off, and Fulham are also bringing on Alexander Mitrovic for Madja, so a change up front. Probably too late for Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a couple of crosses, I think, go in the box that you'd fancy Mitrovic to get on the end of, but maybe Scott looks at, you know, his output in terms of when he has come off the bench. As I said, he started against Villa and got his goal, but coming off the bench probably hasn't quite had the impact that maybe Scott would have wanted. I'm not too sure he's one of those impact sort of players.
Scored a brilliant goal for Serbia, didn't he, during the last international break? But that goal you mentioned against Villa from Mitrovic is the only one that he scored in his last 26 appearances. He's on for the final 9 minutes. Fulham trailing by 2-0. I guess the only solace is they haven't got too far to go home tonight. No long coach journey, as Robinson is dispossessed by Reece James inside the Chelsea half. Havertz, still hunting the hat-trick, has been sent tumbling by Anguissa, but he got the ball according to Kevin Friend, the referee. And it's inside the centre circle now with Olorena. Been impressed with the way that Chelsea have conserved their energy in this second half, haven't overstretched themselves, haven't needed to, David Connolly.
No, it's been a very calm, composed performance, I guess, mirrored by their manager on the side, who's been pretty calm, isn't he? I think he's known from the 10th minute, really. This game was pretty much done and dusted.
We've barely seen him, Thomas Tuchel, in the technical area.
You do see that with some managers, you know, where it's a sort of much changed team, and at times, you know, they spend a little bit longer, I guess, sat down on the bench. That's what he's done today.
Well, the score is Chelsea 2, Fulham 0 on TalkSport with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Sell your car today to help fund a new 2021 registration plate. As Fulham try and come forward down their left-hand side again, the ball ran out of play. Kai Havertz tried to claim it was a Chelsea throw, took that throw, but he's going to go Fulham's way, and Robinson, the left-back, summoned forward to take it into the feet of a teenager, Carvalho, and it's back now on the halfway line with, first of all, Anderson, then Olorena coming forward. I mean, possession over the last 5 or 6 minutes, probably in Fulham's favour, but not in an area where they're going to hurt Chelsea. They do have a corner here. In fact, it's a goal kick. They were trying to claim a corner for the cross from the right-hand side by Olorena, but the last touch was off him, so it's a goal kick for Chelsea. I was talking about the top end of the Championship earlier. Norwich confirmed as champions. Watford promoted already. They lost 2-0 to Brentford and will have to take their chance in the playoffs. And be sure to tune into Monday's Sports Breakfast. Laura Woods and Ali McCoy will be joined by the Watford captain Troy Deeney.
Well, just going back to Fulham, Alex, if you go and have a look at, as I said, about how Brighton set up here to get something, and then compare it, I guess, to how West Brom came and set up here, they just haven't had enough about their game plan to go and trouble this Chelsea side, whereas, you look at how West Brom went about it, similar sort of setup to how Brighton did, whether it's the energy, the tempo, the formation, the shape to go and hunt high and win the ball back and force the turnovers, but then being tight at the back. You just haven't had it. You need a complete performance, and it's been a long way off here from Fulham.
They do have a free kick though. Ademola Lookman stands, hands on hips over the ball. He's going to curl this to just outside the penalty area. Joachim Andersen is jostling to make a late run. It's towards Mitrovic, and it skips away from him, albeit via a Chelsea touch, I think, off Abraham for another Fulham corner. It will be their 8th of the game, but that isn't really a fair reflection on what we've seen. Chelsea very much, barring the early flurry from Fulham at kick-off, the dominant force in this one. They do have this corner to defend, and a goal for Fulham now would set us up for a grandstand finish on TalkSport with 5 minutes to go. It's a better delivery towards Mitrovic, but I think him and Tosin almost got in each other's way. Olorena claims he kept the ball in play. The assistant on the far side disagrees. Aina goes across to protest, but it's a pointless protest. It will be a goal kick for Chelsea.
Yeah, and I guess if you're being picky, you'd probably, if you're Thomas Tuchel, you want to stop giving a couple of those corners away. You might face Real Madrid, and every time the ball goes in the box, the likes of Benzema, keeps it alive on set pieces. And there's 2 or 3 today that I think Chelsea could have prevented going out of play.
The home win will be well received as well. Chelsea with their second worst home record at this stage of a Premier League season since 1996, in the days of Pullet and Vialli, Gianfranco Zola. But it's been a comfortable victory in this West London derby as Tammy Abraham tries to make a nuisance of himself inside Fulham territory, cleared by Joachim Andersen. And Anthony Robinson gives possession away to N'Golo Kanté.
I guess the other thing as well is, if he is going to play 2 strikers, Alex, why would you maybe then sell Tammy? He's young, he's you might get good money for him, but I can understand in Frank's system where they always play 1 striker, but if they're going to play 2, as they have done quite a few times under Tuchel, it makes sense to keep him.
They've got a bit of space here, Fulham. Munguiza having 1 possession back inside the Chelsea half. Robinson with a shot from the edge of the area, nowhere near as well struck as the one that he attempted early in the game, saved on that occasion by Mendy. This one flies over the head of the goalkeeper and almost into the second tier of the stand behind that goal. It remains Chelsea 2, Fulham 0, with only 3 minutes of the 90 remaining. Scott Parker still pointing and gesticulating, back on familiar territory, but it's a familiar feeling. Another defeat, another step closer towards an immediate return to the Championship, having worked so hard to win promotion last season. And the fact that they're going down, the fact that West Bromwich Albion are going down, David Conley, just shows how difficult it is for clubs promoted from the Championship to make themselves part of the Premier League furniture, although Leeds have done that pretty well this season.
Yeah, they have. There's always a couple, I guess, outliers, but what they'll do, they'll strengthen, I think, Fulham, and they'll still have the parachute payments and probably come back up. And I wonder whether the Premier League eventually, it'll just be sort of a close shot really for about 24, 25 teams.
Well, especially when you look at the fact that Norwich and Watford are both coming back up for the first time of asking. Bournemouth could do the same by the playoffs. I think I saw a stat that would be the first time that's ever happened in Premier League history. The 3 relegated teams all coming up straight away.
I just think it might be the start of something that is more regular though. So I think it's just the gap, the money is just getting bigger and bigger, and as long as you invest it wisely, we have seen sides, your Sunderlands, and teams that can, if they're mismanaged, can obviously fall again. But And if you're well managed like Norwich and Watford, you can do it again. You can do it immediately, go straight back up. I'm just looking at Mendy, like, we haven't really touched on Mendy, but whenever they've played out of the back and, you know, it's gone to Thiago Silva, if they can Fulham, they've pressed him and shoveled it out to Zuma. If Zuma's gone back to Mendy, he was really calm, isn't he? I mean, a complete difference to Kepa. You know, when the ball is at his feet, he can pick a little pass, he can dink one, he can get Chelsea out of trouble. And obviously he's made a couple of saves today as well when he's had to.
There's a foul conceded by Thiago Silva there. Overzealous challenge on Mitrovic, I think felt the force of that one. He is still down. Anguissa has just come across to check on his Fulham teammate. Everybody bar Areola. He's going to be inside the Chelsea half for this free kick. Mitrovic back on his feet now, and well, he's not moving freely, he's hobbling towards the penalty area, Mitrovic.
We'll have to get there pretty quick. I mean, the referee's blown the whistle and he's not in the box yet, so he'll be the one that will try and get on the end of this.
At the moment, Decordova-Reid is stood in an offside position just behind a wall of 7 Chelsea players all in a line. It will be Olareina to float this one into the penalty area. Abraham watches it all the way, heads it down, and it's one back from Anguissa by N'Golo Conte, but Fulham have it back with Lookman. He sprays it out to the right hand side, and Bobby Decordova-Reid, and then Olareina plays it into the feet of Josh Onima. Can Fulham give themselves a lifeline to take into stoppage time at the end of the game? Lookman linking up with Mitrovic, and N'Golo Conte smuggles it clear for Chelsea, but Robertson's going to put it back into the penalty area, and it's Billy Gilmore who swivels and clears it upfield, and Abraham now in a bit of a wrestling match with Tosin, and actually he's brought down Tosin. It was good defending, and it's another free kick. Scott Parker is on the pitch and just wants to get play restarted quickly. He clearly still believes. 4 added minutes, 4 minutes for Fulham to stay the most unlikely of recovery acts, but they might get one here with Carvalho. It just ran away from him at the last moment. Mitrovic having helped it on towards his young strike partner, and Mendy collapses over the ball. I think he took a whack from Carvalho as well. It was a genuine attempt to play it, but Mendy is going to need some treatment in the first of 4 added minutes, David Connolly.
Yeah, it's a heavy touch here from Carvalho, and does he just leave a little bit on Mendy? I mean, Mendy is clearly going to get there first, and I just wonder whether Carvalho just leaves his leg on him ever so slightly, but it's enough. And obviously Chelsea have experienced this before, haven't they, with Petr Cech, so this one is not as serious, I don't think.
Well, he is receiving medical treatment, Edouard Mendy, and again, this is not a sight that Thomas Tuchel or any Chelsea fan would want to see ahead of the second leg of that Champions League semi-final. Real Madrid, the visitors, here on Wednesday. You can hear that one on Talk Sport. I think he will be okay, Mendy, but they're just making absolutely sure. Of course, there's much more protocol now when it comes to concussion and any kind of head injury. We're just going to see a replay on the giant screen in the second tier of that shed end. In fact, it's a replay of the Kai Havertz goal, so we're none the wiser as to exactly what happened to Edouard Mendy, but he is back on his feet, just taking a drink of water. What it has done is just delay the start of the 4 added minutes, David Connolly.
Yeah, we're just seeing a little replay here, and does he slightly drag his knee across him? I think he does catch him with his foot, and a part of me thinks he meant that, although it wasn't the most severe foot on a goalkeeper I have seen, but just slightly dragged his foot over the top of his face, and yeah, that was naughty from Carvalho. He's a lucky boy.
Well, it does mean we're going to get injury time in injury time now, as Mendy launches it long upfield for Chelsea. Abraham tries to flick it on, one back by Kai Havertz, and now in the right back position Andreas Christensen plays it all the way back to Mendy. And again, he looks for Abraham, who does flick it on this time, but one back by Olareina. And then Carvalho was brought down by Gilmore, but it's a good advantage play by the referee. Fulham pushing and probing in stoppage time. They trail by 2-0 here on Talk Sport. And it is Ademola Lookman who goes back to the halfway line. And the number 16, Tosin. Tosin dispossessed by Abraham, but well won back by Lookman. And Anguissa's got plenty of room inside the centre circle. He plays it forward to Carvalho. Carvalho Gets it back from Decordova-Reid, and this is on Greaser now, right in the centre of the Chelsea half. He flings the ball out to this left-hand side, and Robinson. Now Lookman for Fulham. And Greaser pokes it forward into Onomah, can't hold it up, and then Timo Werner leading the attack. He hurdled the challenge from Onomah, and he's made his way towards the penalty area. Werner needed to release it earlier. He's been fouled, I think. It will be a free kick, but he took too long there to get the ball out from under his studs, having rapidly raced upfield, Timo Werner.
Yeah, and I think in his defence, to be honest, I think he's looking for a run from Tammy Abraham, but he doesn't really make one. He sort of attempts to make one, then he drifts out. Tammy, he doesn't go with any real purpose, and in the end there's nothing on for Werner. He's just got to carry it himself, and eventually gets brought down on the edge of the box, and that's something I think Tammy's got to improve upon. You know, that dynamism in his movement, it's not quite as good as Werner, that's for sure.
Colton Cole, during that chat you can hear on Darren Bent's boot room tomorrow night, was also suggesting that maybe his hold-up play needs to improve as well.
Yeah, there's a little aspects of it, and certainly I've seen that before in Tammy. You know, finishing from crosses, he doesn't quite got the deftness of a Giroud, for example, with his volley or with his head.
Well, Marcus Alonso, having only recently come on, might just fancy this. It's a yard outside the penalty area, to the right of centre as we look, to Areola's left. Reece James is also stood over the ball. Chelsea leading by 2-0. Can they put the cherry on top of the cake here? It is Alonso, drives it into the wall, falls for Werner, his shot blocked, still bobbling around inside the penalty area. The 2-goal, Havertz keeps Chelsea in possession, and Gilmour tries to float it forward for Alonso, heads it towards Werner, who I think was in two minds there. Should he take the shot on first time or try and bring it down? In the end he sort of did neither and just cushions it into Areola's hands.
Right, and that's the whistle.
Victory for Chelsea, a significant step towards a place in next season's Champions League. The perfect preparation for the second leg of their semi-final in this season's competition against Real Madrid in midweek. It was a must-win for Fulham if they were to stand any chance of a late great relegation escape. In the end, it was far too comfortable for Scott Parker's former employers. Kai Havertz with the opening goal after a brilliant taken pass from Mason Mount in the 10th minute. Havertz doubled his and Chelsea's tally 4 minutes into the second half. There's a 6-point gap now on West Ham in 5th. Another clean sheet for the master of defence, Thomas Tuchel. It finishes here in this West London derby, live on TalkSport. Chelsea 2, Fulham 0.